there's an answer waiting to be mined in the darkness. But I tell you, the truth is, you need to come out of that rabbit hole, my friends. You need to come out. You need to come out and find the sun and put your feet in the dirt. Put your feet in the dirt. Feel the soil. Ground yourself again. Because this place is insane. Insane, I tell you. Insanity. You know what? Sanity tells you is always majority. Every time. Who's got the most votes? What are you doing? All right, fine. How do I turn this off? There it is. Good morning, all. I looking a little rough. I admit. I've been busy. I've been taking the weekend off, which is important. And yeah, I didn't do a damn thing yesterday. It was pretty epic. I did wash this shirt. It probably doesn't look like it, but I did. I think it's probably the first time I've washed this shirt, like ever. It's like a lab coat. Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 151. The Hidden Hand. Ooh, yes, the Hidden Hand. That's right. Oh, I gotta mute this. Let me go over there and say hello. Make sure everyone's. Is Rose Triple Heaven in the house? Look at that. Hello there. Meow, meow, kitty poop. Good morning. Meow, meow, kitty poop. We say good morning here because so many of our friends are not actually experiencing a morning right now. And when I say we, actually many of you are saying good morning, which is fine. Shit boss in there, you doing it right. Telling Sue Finelli what's going on. Sue's like, hi, there's James. Hi, Rose. Great to see you. There's Karen B. Hi, y'all. Yeah, great to be here, guys. And what about old D-Live over there? Looks like Woodwose is already giving out Ninjaginis. Come on, guys. Come on. How are you going to keep up with that, huh? And you don't have to. That's what I love about Woodwose. This isn't a competition. He knows that. We all know that. Awesome as always, my friend, says Amavasya, and I agree. So, the Hidden Hand. What I want to talk about today is secret societies. And when I talk about secret societies, I'm not here to expose them or show you or explain anything like really, really dramatic. I'm here to tell you how a secret society embeds and codes information into their matrix. And what I'm suggesting to you all is that the people that you see in fez hats, the ones that drive the little tiny cars, little honk honk, those Masons do not know something that you, they do not know something that you do not know. They are not keeping a secret right or order locked in their sock drawer, and they hope to God their wife never finds it. That's not how this works. And so many of us are convinced it does. In fact, so many of us have this word. We've invented a word called elite. Yeah, and we pretend like it's real. And we've assigned certain people this status of elite. And we're like, you are elite. You are in charge of me. You are here to try to enslave me. But I'm too clever for you, and I will get you. And even though you got me with 72 vaccines, and even though I put a muzzle on my child's face, and even though I vote to go to war every 1.3 years, secretly I am the one that's avoiding capture because of how resourceful I am. This is a beautiful fantasy. It sounds great. But guys, seriously, most of you, the tip of your dick was cut off, and it was done voluntarily through consent by your own mother. You were then sent to a 12-year forced indoctrination camp where you were taught to sit in emperor's pose and literally regurgitate information to you based on a bell and a quiz where you were rewarded nothing more than a number between 0.0 and 4.0. And you took that number and you took another test and you took your ACT and your SAT and you took those numbers and you gave them to another place and you converted those numbers into letters. A BA, a BS, an MA, an MS, a PhD, all those things, right? And you kept doing it, and then you paid them money for the rest of your life. I'm sorry, I probably just spoke in a hot mic there. But you paid them money for the rest of your life. And dude, you know, you've already got one. He's got he's got one in his mouth, and he still wants another. Let's see if I can get him to show yourself. He's got one. And he's like, that's not big enough. I could have another. See, look. He's like, that's a better one. Shut your whore mouth, Babylon. And that we pay these people. We get our PhD, we get our master's, we get our bachelor's. We pay them money to credential us, to convert those numbers into letters. And then we take those letters and we mount it to a wall behind a piece of glass. And then we ask people to respect the paper, not us. I was in Virginia Beach, Virginia, driving. I was looking for a cup of coffee. Just pulling up my phone. Coffee, please. Blah, blah, blah. Takes me to a place. I turn in. All of a sudden, I'm on a base. I'm on a naval base. And I pulled in, and now I'm stuck in traffic. A lot of fucking traffic. I just wasn't paying attention. So I realized I'm stuck in traffic to enter a base that I don't have credentials to go into. And all I really want to do is turn around. And I'm going to be there a while. And it's typical. This is what being in the military is like. And I waited. I used to be in the military. I used to be in the Navy. I was at a Navy base. I used to be there. And I knew that I'm coming in to this base and no one gives a shit that I spent 6 years serving this country, fighting Iraq. And it probably sounds like I'm trying to get sympathy. My point is to just listen. I put 6 years of my fucking life into that place. And when I get up to the guard, I have no way of garnishing, harnessing, tapping into, or requesting that he pay me back right now. Because I can't. Because I do not have a credential. I am less believable, a human being who could tell him where I was, what I was stationed in, what my job was, where I trained, how I cut my hair, why I did it, how I paid my way through school while I was doing it, how I did this. I could tell him everything he wanted to know. Everything. And it still wouldn't matter. Because he didn't respect me. He didn't respect the fact that I was a veteran. He didn't respect the fact that I enlisted as a volunteer. What he respected was a laminated sheet of paper. And he didn't even care what the tree was. He didn't even care what tree that paper came from. He didn't care what pulp was used. He didn't care what forest. It didn't matter. He didn't care who wrote the sheet of paper. He has no idea who wrote it. He has no idea. No one even wrote it. It was all done by machine. The entire thing was automated. And that ID was then run through a sealer, a laminated thick sealer, and it gave it a shellacked clear coating on top. And that tiny sheet of paper that cost less than 3 cents has more privileges, respect, recognition, and authority than I do, than you do, than all of us do. And we pretend like that's normal. We walk around like, oh, yeah, that's legit. Why would that not be legit? What, James, you want everyone in the military to know each other? You want them to trust each other like combat veterans? What are you getting at? It's insane. And because of how insane my idea is, most of us can't see that this is how it happens. And this machine gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the credentialing gets more and more powerful as the people get less and less important. And you flip, you invert. The machine inverts itself. And you find yourself in the Navy. You find yourself in school. You find yourself in academia, in a cubicle, in your job, whatever. And you're looking at yourself and you're hearing this. And it's the sucking sound of your soul. Because you're realizing that you are not as important as your credentials. And most of us never notice. So we just keep going. And only a tiny portion of us notice. And we can't explain it to anyone around us. It's impossible. There's no way to convey the truth about what's happening. You have to earn it. Here. He doesn't even want the broken peanut. He's like, this peanut is broken. He wants this one right here. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting him off camera. Here it is. Don't hit the keyboard. Sorry, he took the scene off. You still on? Yeah. So how is this related to secret societies? It's related to secret societies because as a member of the military, you are conveying information. You are producing. You are an organ of the Leviathan. Countries themselves are not what we think they are. Countries, what we call countries now, are truly the pancreas, the heart, the liver, and the lungs of a world Leviathan. And as the machine takes over, each of us become instruments, gears, inside something larger. And it's so large that we can't even make it out. We can't even look at each other and say, yeah, this is true. We can't. Only a tiny percentage of us is even willing to admit what's going on. And while we're trying to struggle with this, we're missing out on a lot of truth because we're under the impression, well, yeah, secret societies are plotting this. They're consciously trying this. And that there's like one guy in charge, or there's 4 guys in charge, or there's a council of 13, or there's a council of 7, or there's a council of 9, or there's the Dark Mothers, or there's the Black Nobility, or there's the Jesuit High Council, and you hear all this shit, just excuse, all this crap of like, yeah, it's them, and no one fucking knows. No one knows. But we still create channels, we still create videos, we still broadcast and tell everyone like we do. And I've looked at this a long time, and I think I know how this works. And it all fits into Dojo Earth, and it requires zero conscious thought. It would require as much thought as that guy on base in Virginia Beach when I finally got up to the thing. It would require as much thought as he has to give when he looks at my credential and simply goes, that's what they do. You pull up, you get in, and they're like. And they do that by looking at your paper, something this big, this far away, right? That's all they see. And it's like, yep, you're in, you're good, your credential. I respect your, in fact, he salutes your credential. He doesn't salute you. And when you're on base, you find out that you salute officers. You don't salute people. In fact, you don't salute enlisted. You don't do that. Someone could teach you the most amazing thing. They could save your life, and you still don't salute him. You salute the officers. You salute the credentials, the bars, the stars, the bronze, the brass. You're saluting elements, not people. And no one said this is how it works. There's not like secret people that are up there going, aha, we will make sure no one salutes people. I'm telling you, that was never a conscious decision. No one ever said that's what we're going to do. It didn't happen that way. I'm telling you that this is a morphic resonance we're dealing with. We're dealing with a vibration that occurs inside society that creates a higher vibration. And that higher vibration, that second tone, that superficial tone that no one is physically playing, that no one's physically talking about, is the secret society. And that it runs itself based purely on energy, frequency, and vibration. And I know you're like, that's incredible. No way, James, because the Masons, the mall, the layout of DC, all of it, no, all that's on purpose. All of that's on purpose, James. It has to be consciously created out of the neocortex, and you're wrong. You're wrong. And the reason why I know you're wrong is because there's not one family, there's not one group that can keep a secret. No one can keep a secret, because to keep a secret is physically to hold something, to hold on to it and not let go. And we are pretending that because of how careful they are, because of how rich they are, no one ever finds out. That it's only late at night when they put on their antlers and they meet on some Black Forest mansion. And they sit down before they're going to hunt people, and they discuss their plans, and there's cackling in the background. And that you wonder if maybe one of the housemaids might escape and tell the secrets, but they never do. And you wonder why someone's carriage wasn't robbed on the way, or someone's diary, or someone's book, or just something more tangible that we can point to. It's not there. But it doesn't mean that this isn't happening. It doesn't mean that there's not secret societies. It means, like we keep learning over and over again, that there's something happening on a deeper, more fundamental level. And before I can even get you to see this, I need you to know that that's possible. I need you to understand that this is how it works. I'd like you to introduce you guys to the Tartini tone. The Tartini tone was invented by Tartini. It's not invented, more like he found it. He discovered that by playing 2 notes on a violin, he could get a third sympathetic note. The sympathetic note was a combination of the other 2 tones he was playing. In fact, that combination has a special relationship to the 2 tones. So let's say A, or 440 hertz, is typically what we would call A. Some of you call it 432. That's fine. We get it. You know more than everyone else. Whatever. But 440 is what we call A. And so that A, typically the fifth octave of A, right at middle C, right there. That's your 440 hertz. And then if you wanted to double that, if you wanted to raise up an octave, you would double that tone. So 440 times 2 is 880. So now the octave of A, the higher version of A, is 880. Then the lower version is 440. Now, if you play 2 dissonant notes, notes that are not in the same octave, something very special happens. You have competing troughs. You have a trough from one note broadcasting at 440, and then you play a C sharp, and now you have another note at 1109 hertz. And these 2 tones play together, and you can hear them. Any trained musician can hear them. But a third tone is made, my friends. A third note, and no one is in the room playing it. And you could take the pianist home and beat him that night. You could pour hot wax in his chest hair. You could smack the bottom of his feet. You could do whatever you wanted to do to try and get him to tell the secret. What was that third note? And he's never going to know. He will never tell you. It will never be released. And then if you take the other pianist who played 440, and you take her home and you boil her house and watch all her stuff burn, she will still not tell you what that third tone is because she can't. She doesn't know. It's not a secret. They're not elite because they're keeping things from you. They are products of morphic resonance. What's happening through them does not require their neocortex to know. And I'm here to tell you, as I've been telling you every single day, all of you are not being run by your neocortex. Your neocortex is justifying what you do. Your limbic system is taking you places. It's feeling certain ways that regardless of how you feel about them, your limbic system is either objecting to something that you do like or loving something that your neocortex hates. And I'm not here to tell you should, it's an internal fight. It's actually a harmony. It's these 2 notes, guys. One tone is your neocortex. Your brain is playing that high note. And the lower note, your keel, your limbic system is playing that lower note. And in the middle is your heart. In the middle is where all your power lies. And it's funny because that power is the one note you're not playing. Most of us cannot slow our heartbeat down by focusing on our heart. In fact, none of us can physically stop our heart. We can talk to it using our brain. We can talk to it using our polyvagal system. We can relax our polyvagal nerve and slow our heart. And the better you are at athletics, the lower your heart rate is. Your resting heart rate is lower. The third tone, though, the musician cannot control. It's based on the other tone. It's based on what else is happening around him. Two notes. And I'd like for you to imagine that the entire country is played by two notes. That the double-headed eagle that you see freaking everywhere since Rome are those two notes. And that you yourself are that Tartini tone. That you are the combination of those things that are playing between your two towers. Before we go on, let's learn a little bit more about this. First two, boom. Do you hear that? Do you hear the lower tone? These are Tartini notes. No one's playing these notes, guys. The bottom notes there, no one's playing. All that's being played is up here. That is Secret Society. You've just watched Secret Society. And it happened on notes that played below. So people were physically doing things on the upper notes, but something sympathetic was happening below. The resonance was sounding, and that resonance had its own melody. Let's listen again. A major 7, A7, D, F, A, F7, D, A, F, G. And if you were in music class, you would be like, stop that low note. Stop that. Kenny, stop. And Kenny could not stop that low note, nor could Sarah. You can't stop either one of them. It's a sympathetic note. And if you're a violinist, you know this all too well because you will physically flatten your higher note because you know that third note, that Tartini tone, is going to be a little bit sharp. And so you'll take 9 hertz off that 1109 hertz. You'll lower it down to 11. And now you have a complementary tone between 1100 and 440. And that creates a perfect octave. And now by flattening a note that you're playing, a beautiful harmony pops up that you cannot touch. You can't control it. It's the relationship between the two. And this is the Hegelian dialectic. It is. Most of us talk shit about that. Like, oh, it's how you produce evil. And no, it's actually Hegel was trying to show you how we get to truth. That when we find a wave, we trough, peak and trough, peak and trough, peak and trough, because we're Hegelianly, this is the truth, but it's not too far. This is the truth, it's not too far. This is the truth, it's kind of in between. It's kind of in between. It's true, 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 true. And you're constantly finding that note, just like musical tone, energy, frequency, vibration. And you as magicians can learn to control this note. You already do it. You already know it. You manipulate people most of your life. Don't get all freaked out. Manipulating itself is part of why you're here. You have prejudice, you have manipulation. You manipulate your garden, you manipulate your kids, you manipulate your meals, you manipulate your food, you manipulate your house. You manipulate what you tell yourself in the morning. And when you learn these two notes, you begin to speak to yourself through Tartini. You begin to influence your world by finding that peak. Most of us have this right now. We're caffeine addicts. We go up, and then we do something else to lower it back down, depending on what it is. Diet, herb, right? Exercise, rest, sunlight, moonlight. All of these are setting a third sympathetic tone that we can't touch. It's not tangible. And because we can't touch this, because it's not tangible, 92% of the population never sees it. And you're living among them. You're living among them, and they're the ones that believe in credentials. They're the ones that like, no, this makes total sense. That's not laminated. I can't accept that here. We don't accept non-laminated faces here. Your face is not laminated. It talks. It has matter. No, we need something flat. We need something we can scan. We need something that's shiny. That's who's allowed on base, not you. And like I said, most of us never even know that this is how it works. But as an alchemist, as a magician, as someone who's just trying to better yourself, someone who's just trying to find your inner Christ, seek enlightenment, raise yourself, elevate yourself, you begin to look for these tones. You begin to look for ways to gain this power. In fact, you look so hard that you start to notice that there are always two paths. There's an upper note, your mind, your neocortex, and there's a lower note, your keel. And by manipulating both those things, maybe even flattening the top one, that you can produce a third tone. And it's that third tone that reaches people. It's that third tone that truly touches those around us. And so we learn these skills.
Hello, I am Anna Maria and I'm an overtone singer, and I'm going to tell you something about polyphonic singing today. Overtone singing is a voice technique where one person sings two notes at the same time.
The left side of the screen is a spectrogram, a visual representation of my voice. This is my normal singing voice. When I'm singing a tone, I'm really singing many tones at once, the fundamental and the overtones. They all sound at the same time, and normally we hear them as one single tone. Using frequency filters in the computer, I can listen to each overtone separately. But I don't need the computer to filter the overtones. With overtone singing techniques, I can filter them with my mouth. My voice produces the same sound as before, but now my mouth filters out all the overtones that I don't want. The one that remains is amplified and gets louder. This is the basic idea of overtone singing. I simply make one of the overtones so loud that you can hear it as a separate tone.
So this was the...
So what if your life was like a song? And I want you to notice that when she was showing you her voice, that you don't sing just one note. That you sing 8, 9, 10 notes. You can't help it. Your voice is causing all these upper higher tones to come out. And what Anne-Marie is able to do is able to isolate each of those and create it as her primary. And by changing between those primaries, even though she's holding the same note, she's actually sending a different vibration, a different melody. Now, if you are a neophyte caveman, you would insist that she's not singing other notes. You would insist she's singing the same note, and that's witchcraft. And that's what we do to each other right now in our lives. Artists, writers, chefs, parents, farmers, engineers, the people that are out there that are tangibly working on things, not credentials, but things, already understand this. They understand how this works. They use this in their craft all the time. It's subconsciously happening, whether they know it or not. You might see it in, I know electricians that will throw a screwdriver on the ground because they know how to do it so well now that the screwdriver will land on its rubber tip, it'll flip up there, then they catch it. It's a secondary, fundamental. They're so adept at what they do that these things become subterranean. And I'd like you to imagine that the hidden hand, this idea of sticking your hand inside your vest, is a nod or harmonic to this singing. And you're never going to get this if you think that I'm trying to suggest that every single person that's ever had their hand inside their coat knows this, thinks this, or talks about it, because it doesn't happen that way. And I can show you the exact same thing if we were to look at Hollywood. I could show you a million stars that are just dumb as fucking dirt, and they're all doing shit like, shit like that. And they don't know what it means. They don't think about it. They give it zero thought. In fact, they may not have even been told to do it. It might have just emerged. And that our archetypes, the archetypes that we have, our dreams, our pinnacles, all of politics uses these archetypes in the same way. They set tones. And as long as they can have two, as long as there's a double eagle head, as long as there's an eagle's head that has both, then they can set that third tone. They can make it happen. They're playing a different note. And the hidden hand has always been doing that. They've always been doing that. We call the Pledge of Allegiance placing your hand above your heart. You're completing the circuit. But the hidden hand will go underneath. Their loyalty is not on the outside. Their loyalty is on the inside. And that so many of us fear this second tone that we call it evil, we call it sinister. The word sinister is not bad. It's not. The word sinister is not a bad word. You think it is because you're too elementary. You're too basic. You believe in good and evil, therefore one of these has to be evil. And when you take your dog to the vet, you don't tell him, hey boy, let's go cut your balls off. You tell him, hey, let's go to the park. And you sinisterly get him into that car. And you're not evil. You're not. My mom would chop up broccoli so frickin' small and put it in spaghetti so she could tell me it was sausage. And that was sinister, and I ate all the spaghetti. I ate it all because of that. Most of what we do is sinister. The entire world of courtship, my friends, is sinister. It's built on innuendo. It's built on nuance. It's built on assumption. That dog has the assumption that he's going to the park. And we are so lost on this idea that the only way you can be good is to be absolutely clear, absolutely upfront, front-ended, in the beginning, neocortex to neocortex. And that itself is the lie that we're not willing to accept. That itself is a lie because you are pretending that your neocortex runs things. And you've had to create something called the fucking devil to explain why you don't always do shit. No, the devil made me do it. It's all this is our wanton need to eliminate our intuition, to eliminate that lower note because we're afraid of it. We don't like what it means. But not the hidden hand. Not these fucks. These fucks have been playing a different note a long time. In fact, the entire forefather of our country, George Washington, is probably a figment of our imagination. He probably has all the necessary archetypal images inside of him to show us this. And this is a perfect example of these tones. Now, some of you might think, oh, well, why the fuck can't I think of this guy's name? Holy shit. What is that guy's name? Someone tell me what that guy's name is. Oh my God, I got a lot to cover and I can't think of that guy's name. That guy has, I can't believe I can't think of his name. That guy has his hand inside. What the fuck is that guy's name? I have to go to the chat. I'm sorry. I'm blowing the whole thing here. Ted Cruz. Thank you so much, Karen B. What is and Joshua? I think literally everyone who's telling me that's Ted Cruz, James. It's not that hard. Ted Cruz has his hand inside his chest, and Donald Trump has it out. And I think that most of you think, oh, well, that's because Ted Cruz is shady. That's why. That's why. That they did that because Ted Cruz is shady, and he wanted everyone to know, hey, man, I'm secretly shady. And that sounds beautiful on paper. It does. It sounds like a great excuse on paper. But it's not actually what's happening because you're missing the overtone. You're missing the note. Do you know what this picture does, my friends? This picture makes Donald Trump look honest. This picture is not there to make Ted Cruz look shady. This picture is there to make Donald Trump look honest. Do you see it? Do you see it? Let me show you again. This picture is there to make Donald Trump look honest. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's an overtone. It's an overtone. And because we don't catch it, because most of us live in our neocortex, we're like, no, that's because Ted Cruz wanted everyone to think he was shady. No. No, we still don't understand it yet because of how elementary we are. We're playing with big kids now. They're teasing us. They're throwing the ball over our heads. And until we learn how to recognize and utilize our own subtones, we are never going to be able to compete with these people. Here's Sherman for Atlanta. Fucking psychopath. George Washington, in the full Masonic pose. I want you guys to notice that his left foot is forward, not his right foot. He's leading with his left foot. I want to talk to Marty Leeds about this one day, because most of your pharaohs lead with their right foot. And I believe that we could say, oh, that's because it's evil and he's Baphomet. I get all that. Yes, we get it. Everything's evil and someone's going to stick a hot poker up your ass. I get it. But fucking stop for a sec. Realize that this hidden hand has gone through the entire history over and over and over again. There cannot be that many people that wake up and want to do evil. There can't, because they wouldn't be able to produce, because evil would mean decrepit. Evil would mean they would sabotage their own lives. These people, not all of them are bent on evil. They're bent on polyphonic singing, on tapping into their Tartini tones, and that America itself was built as a sinister way of striking a note, of striking a tone. And that this is a progression we are on. We've been talking about this, the steps of Freemasonry, whether you like it or not. I am not a Freemason. I'm not. But if you look at the ritual of 9/11, if you look at what Building 7 showed you, they showed you how to initiate. They showed you right away. Step 1, the government never told you the truth. The government's not here to help you. The government's not here to, the government's not here to be your parent. The government can't be trusted with morality, vaccines, medicine, war, politics, society, social structure, equality, none of it. And the only way they could show you that was to show you how awful they were at it. It's the only way, because otherwise you just kiss their ass and ask for more. And this hidden hand goes way back. All the way to Adam Weishaupt. I realize this is a painting of George Washington, but I think it's a painting of Weishaupt. In fact, any patrons, if you guys read my screenplay, The Hidden Hand, we talk about this guy a lot. It's a fiction, by the way, but still. And we see that not only was Washington himself an icon, a symbol of something else, but the entire city of D.C., in fact, the entire country itself. And that all of our modern ideas are brought about by these same people. The oldest club in the world. Here's the Capitol Cornerstone Ceremony, 1793. Masonic ceremony. The entire city is laid out, guys, in a pentagram. And I realize, level yellow belt, right? Yellow belt's like, oh, Satan, evil, blah, blah. And I get it, yeah. But there's so much more to that. There's so much more to that. Viscus Pisces, Washington Monument, White House, Jefferson Monument, Supreme Court. Viscus Pisces is not an evil symbol. I get that we want to call it. It's fine. I don't even care if you call it evil because I'm beyond that. I'm looking for something more than the stupidity of good and evil that we keep falling for. These two-headed eagles. Hegelian dialectic. One eagle good, one eagle bad. We'll get to the owl tomorrow. Here's a temple bar. Scottish Freemasons. More hidden hands. And again, it doesn't mean they're all in there. It just means that these people understood these notes. And I can't see how evil always wins every single time. If anything, what I see that happens is more the old traditional definition of the word good is who wins. Good meaning the one who's powerful. That good wins, not evil. That in fact, evil typically means decrepit, one who doesn't win, one who always loses. And you're not going to do well in this class if you're sold on good and evil. We have much to unlearn. And if you can't get past that, you're not going to make it here. You're not. You might as well just downvote me and move on. Because I haven't found one proof that the evil, this idea of it all being evil and all this other stuff is even working. Because what I see is we keep getting waken up. That we keep getting better, not worse. I could show you that 80 years ago, all I had to do was point and say communist, and millions of your forefathers will go out and shoot people based on their fashion decision, based on what color uniform they were wearing. And they can't do that now. It's a lot harder. Trust me, it's still easy, but it's harder. It's harder. We're getting better, guys. We're getting better. But we're still too freaked out to soak in all the truth. There's so much more truth here for you guys. You need to relax. You need to relax. Let the aperture open. Let it open. Let the truth come in. Thank you. Damn it. Sorry. Your entire DNA line is affected by what you do. And this entire world works off consent. All of it. All of it. And you can't say that your kids get tortured and they didn't consent, because they did. They did consent because they're your kids. Your grandkids, your grandparents, your great-great-great-grandparents. You have the ability to enslave or liberate your entire DNA line in a single lifetime. That's how powerful you are. And you're living in a world that runs completely off consent. The entire thing runs off consent. And it's freaky because you don't like the vigilance. You don't like feeling that responsible. So you offload your power. You look for victimhood everywhere you can find it. You point to evil. You point and you run. And you run and you run. And you learn to trust people for their credentials and for what comes out of their fucking neocortex when they're justifying shit to you. And you build your entire society and life on that. We built Babylon on that. All up here. And only a few of us are trying to learn those subterranean notes. And we're punished for it by people that hate vigilance. We're punished for it by people that are disgusted at the idea that you could have your own moral compass. Because they do not like the idea of having to do that much work. Of having to put in that much homework. It's absurd to them, so they don't do it. And we're learning this stuff. We're learning that if you truly want to talk to yourself on a lower level, you're going to have to create ritual. Yes, ritual. Whether it be clean your house, groom yourself, whether it be wash your shirt, whether it be wake up early, whether it be go for a run, whatever it is. You groom yourself with ritual. Your neocortex fucking knows that it doesn't have what it takes to run your entire system. So it sets parameters. And those parameters are meant to corral, convey, and change that lower tone. And it doesn't work that way because most of the time we reject that lower tone. So we look at it as a battle between the two. But it's not a battle, it's a dance. It's a harmony, my friends. The salt and the oil is inside you, and they're looking for each other. They don't want to hate each other. All these rituals of the Masonic ritual involve Hiram Abiff, right? Hiram Abiff is like basically the chief builder. You could look at Hiram as the everyday man, the initiate, the Christ unrealized. Yep, you could look at him that way. You could look at him as the neophyte. And his entire ritual is based on his death. It's based on the death of Hiram Abiff, which is a new life. It's the resurrection. And it's the most important ritual in the world, the resurrection. This is where we get baptism from. I'm not going to tell you that baptism is Masonic. I'm telling you that these rituals are harmonically, these rituals are morphic resonance. They form because they work. And the apprentice becomes the master after his sacrifice, after his death. And these go way, 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 way back. The tabernacle in the wilderness, King Solomon's temple himself, the golden garments, the tapestry. This dude would carry a stone, a black or white stone, like yes for yes and no. It's the oldest rituals in the world are encoded in dilation. They're encoded in things that dilated you so much that you had no choice but to remember. And the people that remember these rituals don't even need to understand it. You don't need to understand the ritual to remember it, because all you're doing is singing one note. Someone else has that second note. The initiate has that. And this is why Hiram is his shoes removed, his legs rolled up, a noose is put around his head, his one sleeve is rolled up, and he's blindfolded. He's meant to feel unease. He's meant to feel the discombobulation, the dissonance. The dissonance you feel when you see 9/11 makes you the Hiram Abiff. And that dissonance only sets in when you realize, wait a minute, I don't know if people were in that building. And that is part of the initiation. It's painful. It's painful. This weekend, a lady yelled at me. She got so mad at me because she says, I know someone that died in the towers. It was on social media, and I wrote her, and I said, okay, well, could you zetetically show me how you know that person died in the towers? And I knew she didn't know what zetetic meant, so I said, what I mean is that, can you please describe to me his life and how you knew him and how you knew that he was going to be there at the towers and that his company worked there? Can you tell me the name of his company? Can you just tell me the name of the company he worked at? And I was polite, and she couldn't do it. Her response is, I knew 60 people that died in the towers, and I'm not going to explain one of them to you. And in her mind, she proved it. In her mind, by saying it was 60, and I will not zetetically prove one of them, I will instead raise the idea that there could even be more. And you know what? It reminded me of, I can't prove this, but it reminded me of the vaccine advocates that are on Twitter that will come in and tell you things. And when you ask them to specify, give you proof, or just to give you one little nugget of that, they freak out. They get really angry and they run away. One of these would tell people, aluminum's in the atmosphere. You can eat aluminum all you want. And this is a doctor telling people, you can eat aluminum, therefore you can inject it in your arm intramuscularly. And she's not used to someone challenging her because she has a fucking credential. Just like this lady this weekend is not used to someone challenging her because she has 60 credentials. 60. And you don't question someone with credentials when you're living in your neocortex. And the truth of it is, if you're going to inject aluminum into your arm intramuscularly, that aluminum has nowhere to go. If you were to swallow an aluminum slug from a construction site like I did when I was a kid, you would just poop it out. And that putting something inside your body is not the same as running something through your torus, because you're a living torus. Completely mucous membrane. Everything inside is mucous membrane. The entire thing, all the way down. So you technically don't put something inside your body when you eat it. You only do that when you inject it in your muscle because some dickhole's telling you that you're dangerous. And these initiations are showing you the truth of who you are. It's taking Hiram Abiff and it's boiling him down to his parts, to his essence. The oldest Egyptian ceremony was still same idea as Hiram Abiff. The Egyptian ceremony, your brain wasn't even kept. They threw your brain away. But they put all your organs in jars. Those jars were storing the salt. And it was Osiris. Osiris connected to Solomon's temple, not Jesus. It was Osiris. And when you're looking at Hiram's ritual, you're looking at Jesus Osiris. You're looking at a combination of Mithras, Osiris, Jesus, Krishna, Siddhartha, Buddha, Muhammad, all of them. You're looking at the archetypal representation, that second note. I'm here to tell you, if Jesus walked the earth or if he didn't, you would still have an archetype of Jesus right now. You would still have an archetype of Hiram Abiff. He is the everyman. And with his trust, and with him digging into his intuition, shutting off his neocortex, removing his retinas, his platonic cave, he can start to face his fear, his strife, and use it for alchemy. And be reborn as a new person. Be reborn as someone with the ability to polyphonic sing, to sing two notes, their intuition and their mind in harmony, and to lower or raise one of those. Lazarus, you could call Hiram Abiff. These are all the same, and syncretism gets us there. Syncretism, when we find the similarities between the things, that's part of this secondary note that comes up. The secondary note that plays above or below. And none of you know what that note is. None of you have to play it. You don't play that note. You play the other note. And it forms itself naturally as part of it. That's why the Hiram Abiff ceremony has to be so... He has to feel that strife. And you see as he raises up, his hands slowly raising up. And he'll eventually be in that Baphomet pose, like you saw in Washington, right? Where one hand's up and the other's down. Did you know that bending the knee is a Masonic ritual? Did you know bending the knee is what started all this? It's true. That was a nationwide thing. So was Epstein didn't kill himself. Anything that you see is nationwide, you know, is an important part of these rituals. It's colossal. America has to die before it's reborn. In fact, the compass. This is news, isn't it? News. N-E-W-S. News isn't truth. News is the coffin. News is this. This is news. This is what news does to you, right? This is a tiny one. It's the death that causes the resurrection. The death of your old life, right? Divorce, losing your job, losing your career, losing your whatever, right? All that. All these are deaths. These are necessary deaths. Why do you think 55% of marriages end in divorce? Maybe that's not a failure at all. Maybe that's what's supposed to happen to each of us here. Maybe it's part of the dojo. Each of us are Hiram Abiff. Each of us are being played by people that don't even know they're playing us. Colin Kaepernick's not a Mason. It's like, oh, Hiram Abiff. Oh, no, fuck no. No, he's a dude that gets on his knee because he doesn't like to play. He's not very good at football. These people don't have to know, guys. No one has to know. These guys don't have to fucking know anything. Anything. They have to know how to behave in their neocortex, right? They have to know how to have potlucks. They have to know how to put fez hats on and drive cars around. That's all they need to know. But the second note still plays. Taking a knee is a Masonic gesture. And what's fascinating about Hiram Abiff is that he's the fool. He's literally the fool. And it's beautiful because we don't have a healthy enough culture where we encourage people to see themselves as fools. We have the antithesis of that. We have a culture that encourages people to never, ever, 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 ever let anyone else catch them being foolish. And the secret to Hiram Abiff's learning is him knowing himself as a fool. Him knowing that as best he can, all he can do is paint a visage of what he thinks is going on. And the only way that visage can be accurate is if he is accurate with himself, with his own note, with how foolish he truly is. And that requires a very strong ego. To call yourself foolish, to see yourself as a fool, requires a certain amount of ego. You have to sacrifice that ego to become the fool. And that sacrifice itself is the death. That is the ceremony. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful because we start to learn more about who we are by realizing how much we're not. How much we are not this. And I could show you that the entire country was steered in this way. That this entire country was made to be a city with 1,000 points of light. And you are one of those 1,000 points of light. And I realize that I'm screwing it all up. Because I'm ruining this whole victimhood fantasy we have going on. I'm ruining all the true channels that are like, no, we're supposed to be like, nah. But look around. If they wanted to enslave you, you'd be in fucking chains right now. You would. Secret meaning of Hiram Abiff. Remember who you are. Jesus, the latent Christ in every man. I love that. Is Hiram Abiff. He's the potential for Christ. And when you start saying potential for Christ, people who live in their cortex, giants who are afraid of fire, people that have secret homosexual tendencies will come out and say, anyone who's trying to do that is secretly evil. How dare you try and be an unrealized Christ? And they literally ignore and go against Christ's own words. St. Thomas's too. Because they fear their vigilance and they cling to their victimhood so much that they'd rather feel that this is all about evil trying to kill you and you're the good person. And we feel good by being victims because it requires a victim to feel persecuted by evil. And when you're persecuted by evil, you have to feel good. There's no other way to feel. You're being persecuted. You know how good it feels to be persecuted? You could be the shittiest person in the world, and if you wake up one morning and someone persecutes you, all that shitty things of who you are is gone now, because now you're innocent. And we don't admit that. We don't want to admit that. And that's what these rituals are for. And not everybody gets it. It doesn't mean if you're a Mason you get it. No, of course not. It means you were given the tools and did you apply them or not? Did you or not? That's all it means. This isn't about credentials. This isn't about what degree you are. It's about what degree you are. And only you'll know that. The hidden hand. It's like a sensei. And a sensei would not be able to teach you how to defend yourself by telling you, I'm about to hit you with my left hand, but I'm going to lead and fake it with my right. That will never work. The only way sensei can teach you is with a board right to the face. And that's why we're here. And the moment you stop feeling a victim about it is the moment you start to learn and empower and gain and grow. You start to become someone that has a lot more energy than other people do. You find that you're not being drained quite so easily by all the psyops. And when September 11th rolls around, you're not freaking out. You're playing a different note. And people see that, they sense that, and they raise themselves up too. So you're creating other Hirims whether you want to or not. Guys, none of us agreed to be in this Masonic order. And I don't even think that it is a Masonic order. I think this goes way, 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 way back. I don't think it goes way, 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 way back. This is a resonance. This is a natural resonance of the container that we have, the scaffolding that we have around us. We have these ideals. We have these pinnacles. We have these fractals of truth. It would only make sense that initiation ceremony would make sense because that's how you find the dawn. The golden dawn is symbolic. It's light reaching up from inside you, from the base, from the Muladhara, the very base of who you are. And if you hate yourself, if you victimize yourself, if you're listening to the neocortex, you'll never be able to tap in down below and say, I see you, light. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You see that. And you're only going to be able to sacrifice the ego that it requires if you have enough ego to lose. And the only way you're going to have enough ego to lose is if you stop shitting on your ego all the time for stupid neocortex reasons that do nothing but gain virtue in other people's eyes. You're abandoning yourself when you're doing that. It's the opposite of Hiram Biff. Hiram embraces the fact that he's a fool. And he gains the key to everything that there was. You have to make a sacrifice. So many of us are sold that magic is about freaking Tinkerbell glitter. I knew this lady last week that she's like, oh, I know, I'm reading into secretly what's going on by looking at gematria sites. And magic is compassion. Magic is tapping into another person's life by plasmically putting yourself in their skull and in their pelvis and seeing the world. But we're sold that magic is simple, quick, it's instant. It's like Babylon. It's like pick a number between 1 and 10, 7. Oh, okay, that means this is going to happen. It's the neocortex missing that bottom note, that bottom fucking root. And most of us don't want to train for Hiram because we do not want to be considered a fool, even in our own eyes. And so we don't. And that's why Disney magic is sold. That's why movies are cellophane. They wrap around everything that could ever happen to you. They turned into a superficial thing that happened when I was in a theater or when I was on my couch instead of something that was real. Something that happened in real life. All these understandings, all these archetypal awakenings, all these oases we find in the desert are steps on this pyramid, are steps up this ladder. Let me see if I can get to it. Steps up this ladder to, what's the other ladder? Sorry. To this other place, to a higher realm. And the only way you're going to get there is through these rituals. It's the only way. Because people are not going to elevate themselves. I think we've got too much sensory output. Okay, I can't find the stairs. I think we've got too much sensory output. What I mean is there's so many senses going on. It's easy to just stay locked in our neocortex. And good. I don't think we're all supposed to awaken. I think only the ones that are willing to burn enough calories because they're looking around and they know truly what's happening. Their eyes are open enough to see. And the moment that opens, you're open enough to see, your eyes start burning. You're instantly uncomfortable. That's why 9/11 was an initiation ritual. It put the fear in you. It turned 911, the place that you would call your government for help. Your protector. It took your protector and it turned it into terror. It said the person that's here to protect you is here to terrorize you. And that is the initiation of Hiram Abiff. And by you accepting that yellow belt, whether you wanted it or not, you entered into this Masonic order. You can bitch about it, or you can join us. You can take that fear, start to process it into anger, get your red belt. You can take that anger and start to process it into compassion, you get that green belt. And you start to see through all this bullshit because your emotions are no longer clouding your vision. They're part of your vision. They're showing you your vision. They're not clouding it. They're not hiding it. You're no longer seeing the world as good and evil. You're seeing the world as left-handed or right-handed. As sinister versus direct. And now you're looking at the two poles of all electricity. Electricity itself is showing you this is how it works. Magic itself is showing you this is how it works. And it's not meant for everybody. That's good. That's good. Those of you who initiated, thanks for being here. It's good to have you. We don't want a full group. There's no way any of us would be able to learn or grow. It's a special class, special group of people. Paladins, I would call them. Cavaliers. They're not your normal infantry. Nor is their loyalty even something that's dictated by a meal or by a paycheck. Cavaliers are renegades. They do what they think would be the most helpful. It's the difference between Ewoks and stormtroopers, right? It's the difference between fucking sharks and dolphins. Sharks are reason, pure neocortex. Dolphins are pure emotion. It's all the things are there showing you the double-headed eagle, showing you the mastery of the self, but you have to initiate. We have a dojo today. I did not send out notices yet. I'm really sorry. I was trying to get all this stuff ready for today, and I haven't done that yet. Nicholas is our moderator. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to get off now. I can send out those invites now. If you're a member of the dojo, you can come to J True. You'll be able to see that link. Just give me like 5 minutes. If you're a member of Patreon, you'll see that link. It'll come in there too. I also do try and send out emails to everyone, but I don't know if the emails will get there in time, but hopefully they will. You guys, right now it's 2020. It's a big time. I'd be using all your prana, all your abilities, all your magic you can. Striking that chord in you. Striking that note. Because we need you right now. We need all hands on deck, man. It's like general quarters right now. A lot going on. So let's do it. Some of you like doing that in the dojo, and I recommend it. I think it's a good class for all of us. I know I look forward to it every day. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, the airing of grievances. Oh my goodness. What's wrong with me? What's wrong? I'd like to welcome everyone to the airing of grievances. Right now is the time where those of you who have a grievance should speak up or forever hold your nut. Yes, grievances. Things we don't like about things. Things that make us mad, things that make us sad, things that make us bad. It's time for those. Amy J, love your frickin' self and abolish self-shame. Much love. Thank you, Amy J. I agree. Steve Crockett, I'll be a little late to the dojo. We'll be waiting for you, Steve. Boycott China Mart and others, right, Carrie? That's right, Dave Booker. Oh, that image, says Spacey. That's right. Rolo has grievance, says El Zorro. Well, what is the grievance, El Zorro? Tell me what it is. Not enough cowbell, says Super Champion Rocker. That's a good one. That's probably right. We'll see if we can work on that. We need more cowbell. We need more cowbell. We have a super chat from Rachel, 2499. Smash the tiny violins. Instead, let's play the big ones in harmony. I freaking love it. Vibrate like the little. My salmon is burnt, says El Zorro. James should comb his hair more. James should comb his hair more. I can't believe you guys said that. I can't believe who said that. James should comb GMW. And it's even GMW. I had to turn off the music. That was so bad. This is to scale. Stop rapping the squirrel's victimhood. All right, guys. Thanks for being here. That was a good airing of grievances. I'm actually going in and out because I got to send these things out. But thanks for being here. Have a great week. We'll see you tomorrow.
You said it yourself.